Hello, this is Mr. Collier, and today we're finding the equations of lines given just 2 points on the line. Okay, so remember the equation of a line looks like y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So those are the two things that we need to find. Okay, we aren't given either one of those in the equation. We're given 2 points, and we're expected to find the slope and the y-intercept. So if you remember, we can find the slope here pretty easily by using the slope formula, y2 minus y1 out of x2 minus x1, which is basically just the difference in y divided by the difference in x. So if I let this be x1 y1, x2 y2, then I can find the slope of the line by subtracting the y's, 6 minus 4 divided by 6 minus 3. And that gives me 2/3. So we're halfway there. We have the slope. And we can now write y equals 2/3 x plus b. And to find b, we can substitute one of the points into the equation. So let's take this pair of x and y. 6 and 6. So y is 6, x is 6. So we have 6 equals 2/3 times 6 plus b. Don't get that mixed up with the 6's. And let's just work this out. This is 2/3 times 6. We can write that as 6 out of 1 if that helps. And when we're multiplying, we can cancel these two numbers here. We can do 6 divided by 3 and get 2. So we're going to have 2 times 2 is 4 plus b. And now we can subtract 4 from both sides of the equation. We get 2 equals b. So we have our slope, we have our y-intercept. Now we can write the equation as y equals 2/3 x plus 2. Okay, let's try another example. Okay, let's say we have these 2 points. Again, we need the slope and the y-intercept. So let's start off by finding the slope. Okay, we're going to use our slope formula. Subtract the y's divided by subtracting the x's. So let's have -4 minus -2. That's a minus -2. Don't get that mixed up. Over 12 minus 6. So that's going to be like plus 2. So it's going to be -2 out of 6, which equals -1/3. So that's our slope. So now we can write the equation as y equals -1/3 x plus b. And substitute one of those points. I'll take this one and substitute it in. The y value is -2. The x value is 6. So we're going to work that out. Now again, this is 6 times 1/3. We can do 6 divided by 3 and gets us 2. -1 times 2 is -2. And to solve for b, we add 2 to both sides of the equation. And we get 0 equals b. So the y-intercept is 0. So the equation line is going to be y equals slope times x plus the y-intercept. And because the y-intercept is 0, we could just write the equation like this. Okay? And our last example, we're going to find the equation of this line. We're given 2 points. We can find the slope first. So we have to be very careful with the negatives in this question. So this is going to be -5 minus 2 out of -3 minus -7. Okay, so that's going to be -7 in the numerator. Here we're going to have -3 minus -7 is like plus 7. So that's going to be 4. So our slope is -7 out of 4. We're halfway there. Y equals -7/4 x plus b. And then we're going to substitute one of the points into the equation. Either one is pretty difficult in this case. We're going to end up with a lot of fractions. So here we had the y value is -5, so it's going to be -5 equals -7 out of 4 times -3. So we're going to multiply by -3 because that's the x value at this point. And let's try to work this out. We're going to have negative 5 equals, nothing cancels here, so we're going to have negative 7 times negative 3 gives us 21 out of 4 plus b. At this point, we have the fraction here with the 4 in the denominator. So what we can do is multiply both sides of the equation by 4, and we'll get rid of that fraction. So here we have 4 times negative 5. That is going to be negative 20. Okay, 4 times 21 out of 4. 4's cancel. 4 times b is 4b. And now we have a simple equation with no fractions. So we're going to solve. We're going to subtract 21 from both sides. Get negative 41 equals 4b. Then divide by 4. We get b equals negative 41 out of 4, which you could also write as negative 10.25. Okay, you should never write the slope as a decimal, but we can write the y-intercept as a decimal because it will be easier for graphing purposes. So the final equation of this line is y equals, so that slope again, negative 7/4 x minus 10.25.